Cooler faded in and out of consciousness several times. The bright lights were blinding him, and the hardness of the table was uncomfortable, even for someone used to Spartan conditions like him. His kind was known to be resilient, but no one had ever hurt him that much before. Sections of his body still burnt, like over half of his face. He was in excruciating pain, but what hurt him more was his pride. He should have blown up the damn planet and all its inhabitants, along with the Saiyans. With what he did, he had proven that he was not better than his brother or his father, and he was deemed not dangerous enough to be killed. A thought which infuriated him. It was easy to play philosopher when there was no threat to one's power, but now it had come with a vengeance. He had not even hurt the Saiyan all that much in his conquest of Earth to try and get revenge. Goku was still standing, which was even more frustrating. Yeah, I think you can tell Cooler's not having a good day right now. The metal that was pressed against his body was unpleasant, but he knew that this synergy was necessary for his survival. He had to trust his scientists to put him back together better than they did with Freeza, who was just a bit of a hodgepodge of various parts they could find. Wires were submerged in his body, and plates were connected to his organic parts to protect his vital areas, as well as brand new cybernetics to replace the limbs and torsos and organs that weren't there. Maybe one day he would trade them in for some biotechnology perhaps that his kind was well known to fabricate. It would just take a little bit of time, but for now, this had to do to put him back on track and put him back to work. The Emperor, though, could not be seen as weak as he was now. He despised this feeling with every inch of his new being, and there were fears hidden within his fury to boot. Would his scientists be loyal to him now that there was no other member of his family to hide behind, to control? Would they put something inside him to limit him, just to keep him in check? Because he wouldn't have known, he'd have been unconscious. This was translating into slight paranoia, but considering how many falls from grace they had recently witnessed, part of him could not blame himself for feeling a little bit anxious. He had brought this on himself, though. He had wished for a challenge and a force of change, and he got it. There it was, stronger than he could have ever possibly imagined. How could such a simple creature be so defiant? How was this Son Goku, whoever this was, this imposter, able to gather so much strength in his pathetic short lifespan? According to research, he'd only managed to raise to the power of Super Saiyan within 3 years after finding out he'd even was a Saiyan. And there is Cooler, badly damaged and awaiting repairs. It was like a recurring nightmare that he was having during the operation, because he was awake throughout all of this. He was looking through the fight from multiple angles, and he lost every single time, always losing. And yes, he indeed could have just blown up the planet from orbit without even having to interact with Goku, but he knew that that would have deemed him afraid, a coward, like his brother, which infuriated him the most. For the first time in his life, he was scared of something. Not of the Saiyan, no, nor of his death, but of a challenge that he could no longer overcome. Something that he knew he could never beat or succeed at. As he woke up for longer periods of time, he was trying to move his brand new limb, which was metallic feeling and sturdy. He tried to project a small energy ball inside of this brand new palm, but he was still too weak.
"My lord, please, do not overwork yourself. We aren't quite done,"
one of his scientists warned him.
"I do not need your mercy."
Cooler scowled, but he was too weak to even try and sit up. And besides, they weren't even fully done with his leg or his face plating. He closed his eyes, allowing his scientists to finish the work begrudgingly. After many hours, he was whole again. Or at least, as whole as one could be after being hit by their own most powerful attack. Again, kinda did it to himself. He left the operating theatre without any assistance, as his underlings didn't even try to approach him about it. If Lord Cooler was going to do it, then he was going to do it. They were right to be afraid of wounding his pride as well. Outside, Salza was waiting for him. The brain chimp wasn't looking much better, with his wounds barely treated by the medical staff. Nonetheless, he saluted.
"My lord, it is good to see you walking again. Should I prepare the next invasion ship so we can take revenge on this Saiyan?"
Cooler looked at him with a even cooler expression, fitting the bearer of his name. No.
What? But Monsieur Cooler, we can't just...
Didn't you hear what I just said, Salza? We are not going! We have an empire to rule.
Yes, of course, my lord.
And Salza, you look rough. Get some proper medical help, will you? He said after a moment in a softer tone. For the next few months, Cooler tried to get used to his new body, as well as stabilize the whole situation going about the kingdom. He had learnt that someone indeed was hunting his men, and from what he could gather, it was none other than Prince Vegeta himself. Oh, that little pest that had bugged Freeza for so long. Oh, the irony. He should have killed that spoilt brat years ago when he had the chance. But nevertheless, the attacks had recently subsided, so it wasn't peaking. They had done a lot of damage to his border planet, sure, so nevertheless, he decided to consolidate what he had left and centralize everything. After all, his father and brother, he felt, overextended themselves too much in recent years. They were expanding too quickly. It would be hard for him alone to keep it together, let alone him in this state. One day, Berry Blue approached Cooler, who was looking quite dispassionate, sitting on his throne and going through some military statistics in an old traditional rigmarole.
So, when are you going, my lord?
Cooler didn't even raise his head to respond. Go where?
Back to Earth.
The sound of a datapad being smashed could be heard. Kikono, who was nearby, decided to hide behind a chair, worried that the remains of the device would be used as a projectile, or maybe Berry Blue's head. None of your business, Berry Blue.
I'm sorry, but I haven't seen you this distressed in a long time, my lord. It's almost as if you were afraid.
Berry Blue, you are lucky that it was you saying that. If I had heard that from anyone else, I would have killed them where they stood.
That would be indeed in your brother's style. But the thing is, my lord, people are starting to whisper. They see you now as defeated, hesitant. You haven't been on the field with them ever since. You have lost 2 of your prized men. Some even, dare I say it, say that you are depressed.
Me? Depressed? That's nonsense. He looked up at that.
Then why are you avoiding the issue, my lord?
Berry Blue had this particular ability to get into one's head since he was a little sprog. The caretaker had undeniable wisdom, he'd give her that. Perhaps the only wisdom that could even persuade either Cooler or Freeza to change their plans or get them to do something they didn't want to do.
I simply don't want the Empire to lose its ruler. I am not afraid of dying. I just don't wish for our legacy to fall apart. That is all.
You are looking behind your shoulder every single day, afraid of the Saiyan, even though he is not interested in coming after you.
That fool seemed like he was letting me live, that's why.
And did he?
Cooler growled silently.
You know, as much as your late father had lost his foresight in his final days, he always had a rather pragmatic approach to things. Well, if you cannot defeat the Saiyan now, maybe there are other ways to make you feel less worried.
I do wish to resume my training.
I've heard that before.
So what? Do you suggest that I just negotiate with the monkey to leave me alone?
Cooler's eyes widened with intrigue, and then scowled again.
Why not? How many beings have threatened the rule of your dynasty before?
Cooler said nothing to that. He knew that he could not continue like this. Berry Blue was right. He was miserable, merely licking his wounds on his throne, being offended at the whole galaxy because he lost one little fight. Salza, prepare my personal pod. Salza's voice crackled into life.
What? But we can take the whole capital ship, Monsieur Cooler. Why just your pod?
I need to go alone. Meanwhile, you 3 sort this stuff out. I've left you with instructions. I need to figure some things out. Alone. Despite silent protest from Salza, Cooler decided to travel to Earth on his own. He needed this as much as it pained him to admit. The journey took quite some time, and he landed on some remote wasteland on the planet. As soon as he had left this pod, he was crowded by Namekians, some Earthlings, and the Saiyan with his half-breed son. They knew that he was coming. I see that you're back on your feet. Son Goku looked at him sternly. Relax, Saiyan, I am not here to fight. I could destroy your planet from orbit if I wanted to.
So why are you here?
I wish to talk. You, me, no one else.
Understood.
One of the many bald people, the short one in particular, seemed very worried. Don't trust him, Goku! He's about to kill you where you stand when there any opportunity.
No one asked about your opinion, Earthling, Cooler warned Krillin slowly.
Son Goku's gaze, though, was still tense. Tenser than most people around him. It seemed like he was the most unnerved about Cooler's arrival than any of them. Not many people were used to that.
Alright, but make it quick.
As soon as they moved away from the group, Cooler looked toward Piccolo.
I presume the Namekian will be listening in, right? As insurance?
Probably. He has that super hearing stuff. So, what do you want from me?
I want to understand.
Goku, for the first time, was puzzled by this statement, and his facial expression was very, very confused.
Understand what?
How you defeated me. These past few months, I've been gathering some information about you. According to my intel, you are a low-class Saiyan. Your power at birth wasn't impressive, and you don't really seem to care about your legacy. It's very un-Saiyan-like, and that baffles me.
I am a Saiyan from Earth, yes.
You know that 30 of your Earth years ago, I saw your pod leave the planet Vegeta. I was there when my careless brother blew up your original homeworld. I should have killed you there and then.
So why didn't you? You could have followed me and done it. Why not?
Because I wanted him to clear up his own mess.
Goku smirked slightly.
Well, now I am your mess, right?
I do not believe in destiny or legends. What I do believe is that beings getting stronger is not a part of some elaborate ruse or divine plan, but rather a force of nature. It's like gravity. Powerful beings attract challengers until they will become the powerful beings themselves, or become attracted to even stronger beings.
I do train a lot.
Is that it? Only that? Train a lot? Goku smiled.
Well, that and I have friends that I want to protect. Do you have friends, Cooler?
Such a soft and mammalian statement.
And yet you're here, confused. Don't worry, I get confused all the time.
What? I'm not confused.
We expect some crazy powerful androids to attack us soon.
And why would I care?
Well, you being here makes me think that you really want a round two with me.
Cooler was looking past Goku's stupid expression and admitted that this guy was good. He was wondering if the man he was looking at was a fool, a genius tactician, a master manipulator, or somehow all three.
I wish for nothing more than to crush you in front of all of your friends.
Because you see, from what I know, those androids are going to be even stronger than either you or me.
How can you be so sure of that? Cooler asked.
Future Guy told me.
Future?
What? At this point, Cooler was genuinely confused now. He was no longer denying it as to whether Son Goku was trying to make a fool of him, an idiot of himself. Or maybe he was speaking the truth and he was trying to double bluff him. Oh, he hated talking to this guy.
So if you want to get stronger, and don't get me wrong, you are crazy strong, but you and I should maybe try and work together and fight these androids off? As you said, with gravity, it attracts.
That's not what I said. Why would I even help you?
Because instead of blowing up my planet, you wanted to fight me, and we're still talking. You want something out of this.
Cooler looked at Goku's face.
So you would really be that gullible? You would allow me to fight alongside you and let me get stronger?
Let's say I have a good track record of being right.
Cooler scoffed. You know I could betray you at any time.
Oh yeah, but I think you're curious to see where this goes.
And once the androids are destroyed, then what?
Then we can have our round two.
Cooler looked at the Earthlings that were gathered around him at a distance, then back at the Saiyan.
Fine. Entertain me, Son Goku.
After all, he hadn't been in the field for quite some time. How powerful could two androids from a primitive planet be? Surely the Saiyan was mistaken to think that Earth could create something more powerful than anything that his scientist boffins could do. More powerful than the two of them as well. But we shall have to wait and see, because that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.